And I'd accept nominations for select board chair for the upcoming year. Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor, say yes, and if not, say no. All right, there you go,
No.
Denise. Yeah, Denise, are you kidding? So, all right.
With one motion.
That's a lot of in one motion. I think you could do A and B as one motion.
Okay, just say no.
No, I'm just trying
I
to.
was just thinking I could be back home having some.
Oh, you just calm down.
She's already
It'll go
thinking.
We'll
fast.
zip it right through.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have time to fix that light after.
I don't have a key.
You need some beer first.
And the tools are back in my truck.
Oh, yeah, that's too.
Go for it.
No.
There you go.
Any of it? All right. Thank you, folks, for the nomination and approval again. Motion to approve / amend the agenda.
I don't have any changes, but I don't know if anybody else does.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right, public comment.
What about online, Roberts? Is that Sally or Ben? Do you have any public comment? Going once. It's either Sally Roberts or Ben Roberts is my guess. Okey doke.
All right,
We'll sign in. Moving on.
our annual organizational business.
So this, I'll just explain, just Brian may know, but so these are the things that we have to do every year, once a year. And there's actually some new ones this year. But it's just standard bookkeeping. We do it once a year and then we're good. We're golden.
All right. A, motion to designate the Herald as the newspaper of record. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, we'll zip through this. B, motion to designate the town clerk's office, town manager's office, and Bethel Public Library as physical locations to post meeting notices.
Motion, second.
All those in favor? C, motion to authorize a board member to sign orders, payables and payroll on behalf of the town. I am doing that now. If anyone else would like to throw their hat in the ring, feel free.
So what you do,
Motion to have Denise do it.
okay, you don't want to know what you do? Okay. I will say Dave has filled in before, but you he's filled in at the town for basically it's somebody who comes to the office during the day and will pay him a con, say
All those
payables are,
papers you just signed?
yeah, say payables are ready, pay him. So Denise will sit down, or whoever it was Paul Valley for a few years. They go through item by item, make sure it's right. If they find a mistake, Pam corrects it. Just another set of eyes. Same thing with payroll. So that's right, exactly.
That's right.
So
And make sure you bring in something
Yeah.
gluten-free for the office staff when you go in.
So it's once a week. So if you're interested in doing it, but if not, and Denise does stay doing it, occasionally she'll need someone to come in and fill in for her.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, D, motion to adopt or amend the select board rules of procedure.
So they were in here. We usually go through them. They're updated every year. I don't know if there were any changes or anything that you want. They are the same as last year, but I don't know if there was anything new you wanted. I did know in here that does, obviously it's clear about public participation. I liked, they talk about order and decorum, that sort of thing. So I don't know if.
We talked about it last year,
What?
making the meeting a little later.
We have done that before. I've done it in other towns. We've also done it. We've obviously moved it for Chris before, but are you saying like for the summer, are you asking to go, you want to start at 7 instead of 6 or
Yeah, that sounds nice.
from?
What?
from like,
Well, no, I mean, anytime, no, I mean.
from like May to November? I mean, or what do you, or all the time at 7? I mean, you guys can hash it out.
Yeah, I mean, like. Yeah, and then September goes back to normal.
That's up to you guys. I don't-
It's just nice to have a little more time of the day, because we're gonna have light for some time.
Yeah, no, that makes, we used to do it. Another town, we did the same thing. In the wintertime, we went back because we had excavation contractors, so. Yep, we can do it as part of G.
Yeah, it's rules and procedure, it says
Okay,
meetings
Oh, okay.
shall take place on the second and fourth Mondays of the month at 6 P M at Bethel.
Yep.
Common.
Yeah, we'll do that with G.
okay,
Okay.
so, well, we can do it right now. He's right, under motion. You're right. We can, what we can do is,
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
we'll amend this. We'll
it
amend
is
the
G,
rules of
but
procedure.
It's in there, but.
Well, but we can amend the rules of procedure. So what we're gonna say is from,
May 1 to October 1.
Budget. We're gonna be here late anyway for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's like, if we go back in September, it's fine.
so you
Yeah.
want to go what, May 1st to
May-
September 1st?
To
Yeah.
October 1st, that's 6 months.
No, we'll do September.
September
Okay.
1.
September would be good.
September, starting in 7.
Okay,
Yeah.
7 PM. Okay, so basically then what I'm gonna do is I will amend on page 2 under meetings, E1. We'll put that in and then the rest of the year, 6 o'clock. So you can just make your motion to adopt as amended the rules of procedure.
So move.
Second.
all those in favor? Okay. E, motion to designate the town website to hold recordings of non-advisory board meetings for 30 days.
Motion. Second.
All in favor? F, motion to designate Orca Media to hold recordings of the select board meeting for 30 days.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor? G, motion to set normal meeting dates of the select board as the second and fourth Mondays of the month.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
See, that wasn't horrible. Jordan and Brian.
Motion to appoint Frank Servels to the
I
White
can't remember
River
who said it was
Ambulance Board.
how he pronounced it. The Cyrillis?
Yeah,
No,
Servels.
yeah, it wasn't Corvell, like the ice cream cakes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Motion. Second.
all in favor?
Yeah, I thought he did a great job at town
yeah.
meeting. And then we talked about it. He was like, I was so nervous. I'm like, you slayed it. You did a
Yeah.
great job.
He was great at the select board meetings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to know that somebody is so,
Fluent.
yeah, well, his experience. Well, and
Yeah.
he saw, his experience. Yeah, yeah, and,
Nothing got hit here.
mhm.
They made a mess of it
Yeah.
and we fixed it. Now this-
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was great, really knowledgeable. So that was nice.
Okay, motion to appoint Tom Burgos as the Stagecoach Advisory Committee, to the Stagecoach Advisory Committee.
Motion.
Second.
So before you vote, I just want to say I spoke to Tom at town meeting and he may be getting done in June. He's been on for like 10 years. So I did already approach Paul Valley because I knew that Tom had been their golf buddies and that Tom had been trying to get Paul. So I at least planted the seed for him to think about it. So, so I expect we'll see Tom's resignation in June, but he's willing to continue for a while, which is nice. So you gotta
Okay,
vote.
those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to appoint Bill Hall to the Transportation Advisory Board.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, annual second-class liquor license, tobacco license, and tobacco substitute endorsement for Wesco Incorporated Champlain Farms.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Annual first and third class liquor licenses for Tozer's Operation and Management LLC. Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Second.
All those in favor?
He was in, they're hoping if there's no big snow to open the end of April.
Yeah, they usually open right after tax day, it seems like.
Yeah, he said, he goes, as long as there's no more snow. I'm like, well, we'll keep
Move
our
the snow
fingers
they got
crossed.
out there first. All right, discussion of ideas regarding future surveys and advisory committee communication / assessments.
Yeah, assignment. So I made a list. So with the new rules, there is, the majority of our committees are just advisory boards. The only ones that are non-advisory are ones that make binding action. The DRB, Development Review Board is, Board of Civil Authority is, obviously the Select Board is. So everybody else are advisory, just advisory only. So I had a talk with the Planning Commission Chair, Eric Webb, and asked him about, and I also had talked to Dana Kolovec, who's a part of the Planning Commission and the DRB. And I think that the Select Board should kick all future annual surveys to the Planning Commission. They are applying for a municipal planning grant. And what they're going to do with it is they're going to put the planning grant to work on updating the town plan. So we should put them in charge of surveys because I have been served for years on your planning commission. And when they do the surveys, all that data is going to come back to help inform the town plan. So what they can do is they'll have other committees, which we always did, had come to the planning commission. So it's a good way to, a conduit because it all funnels back. So I think we bring one committee chair, we invite one committee chair to a meeting for a while. And they can update the Select Board on their vision for town plan. They already are interested in taking over the surveys. No one has liked our past 3 surveys, and I'm not up to doing another one. So let them do it. Then they can speak directly with the committees. What is the town plan? What does the planning commission need to know for the town plan? What does the committee need to know? And if they get a municipal planning grant, part of it is that they plan on doing a survey. So seems like it would be a good use of their time. The second one is Energy Committee. That's Vander Gack and Josh Wardell. Let's, have them come in. They can update the Select Board on how they plan to spend their $4,000 in MERP funding, which they need to spend by the end of June, or I think I've got to return it. Also thank Josh for managing the charger. I get messages where it's offline, then he fixes it. I get these emails back and forth. But so that would be good. The Rec Committee, the chair of that committee is Ellie Griffin. I think that there's been a lot of back and forth there. I think that we need to do what you should do is have them work with the Planning Commission. They need to update their survey so that the master plan data can be updated, because that survey they did was in 2011.
2012.
It's outdated. Those people either don't live here anymore, perhaps have changed interest or whatever. And then when the Select Board gets the feedback on what projects maybe people want to see in 2025, 2026, it's going to help inform you on what project that you want to do next, because you are the keeper of the recreation money. That capital fund is under the direction of the Select Board, not the Rec Committee. So I think it would be a good time to get them to focus on a new survey. I understand that they did a great job with the first one, but it's outdated. And the master plan is no longer accurate because the original master plan was not voted on. It was just kind of like a non-binding referendum. They got opinions, but it's no longer correct because the skate park isn't on it. The tennis court was moved, so where it was moved to wasn't taken into consideration, the grade or the width, the depth of what was actually there. So it seems like getting the Rec Committee here to say, look, the Select Board wants you to participate in the survey with the Planning Commission, get new data. Select Board gets the results and then come back and let's update the master plan and figure out where the board wants to go next with that. So that's my thought about the Rec Committee. Class 4 Road Committee. I'd like to provide them with a list of the Class 3 roads that we want to do something with. we either want to declassify them from 3s to 4s, or maybe they should be thrown up. So my thought is I could make a list with AJ, give it to Brian's committee and say, let them look at them. They go and look at them and say, look, these would be a great class 4 road. Or, yeah, but maybe we need to replace a culvert or something before we, you know what I mean, before we get, or maybe their committee comes back and says, we think you should throw this road up or just discontinue it. It doesn't even make sense for this to be a class 4 road because it's in essence a driveway. So I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, we can get together and
Doesn't hurt.
give an opinion anyway, you know?
Yeah, because then it's, you know, there's, I know Mike's, yeah. Yeah. And then the good thing is too, is yeah, then once we have some information, you know, we can even, you know, you can talk to the people that live on the road or whatever. And just, you know, Mike may say, don't make mine a class 4 road, just throw it up. I want you to just continue, which we did do recently. There was a piece, remember that? I think I was telling Brian about it. This Verona and Fairview was this little piece off from Highland that was never truly adopted by the town. It was this funky thing. So we finally unloaded it so that half of it went to one neighbor and half went to the other, just to, because it was really their property. And I don't know how we could never find an official, that it was officially laid out. So we just kind of took the process and went
So
through
the
it.
town would have to regulate basically give back to the.
Yeah, because it's like their lawn, they mow it. I mean, it was just, I think what had happened is it was an original development that never really developed that way. They gave it to the town. And so it came down as a hook for Highland, but then there was this little offshoot that was Fairview. And there had been another little offshoot that was Verona, but the town had already given that to, yes, to Tom Brennan. And so why they didn't do them both at the same time, I don't know.
Because Tom Brennan petitioned for it, I think.
It could be, and it made sense. And so we just did that one with Brenda Badger and Cheryl. I'm sorry, Cheryl, I can't think of her last name. But so anyway, so we just did the same thing. So I think it would be a good use of the committee to say, what's their opinion? You know, they may say, no, it's just throw it up. So we could ask them to do that. Got a whole list here. Then the next one is equity and inclusion, which I think the chair might be Owen, or maybe they share the duties, but they can update the select board on the events they've been holding using, I think they've got $20,000 in grant money that they secured. And Dietrich kind of manages it with Owen, helps track his paperwork and stuff. And they've done a lot of great things that I'm sure the select board knows about by reading their minutes, but to actually have them come in and talk about, you know, are they going to do another community book reading? You know, what's going on? Conservation Commission, which is Mary and Farron. We can see what's on the horizon with them. And they were a big help through VOREC. And they're always a big help with the town plan, but I think kind of making. Then the last one I have is town meeting committee. They just got a debrief on the town meeting. What kind of events do they have on the horizon? And then maybe a little bit about Australian ballot. I have heard quite a few comments about people who want to go to Australian ballot for the budget, which is something I never thought I would even consider. I wouldn't want to lose town meeting, but when we have less and less people, you know, what's the true makeup? Do those people truly represent everyone in Bethel, you know, like a cross section? It's hard to know. So I don't know if that's something they're thinking about. I did have someone who did say after town meeting that that they were sick of the town basically telling them how they had to give, because a portion of it is part of their taxes. Not that they begrudge anybody anything, but if we were to give, if we did, you know, what would they do with their money? Who would they get to choose to give it to? So that was an interesting take on. They did. They did.
We
They
only
gave it,
had,
they gave it all to them.
But they did vote, but I'm not sure they voted for it. But they did, they were at town meeting.
42 to 2 or something like that.
I know,
So I think they all pretty much voted for it.
yeah.
there was like 150 people at the meeting and then only 260 voted.
Yeah, there was 155 at the max, and then they just started dribbling, you know, down. And then the last paper ballot was, yeah.
Not even 25%.
I know. So it's something to think about. I know other towns vote all Australian ballot and we obviously do 2 budget informationals, but they still, the day of Australian ballot vote, you could still have pies and desserts and committees there with tables. And I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying it's,
I'm going to say why I think it's not a great idea. Well,
yeah.
How do you, vote goes down? Comes back to us.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we try?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
Nope.
If it goes down in that room, we got a pretty good idea of what people don't like.
Right, exactly. No, what happens is, I mean, that's true. That's exactly what I said to somebody, was you don't have feedback. You can do an exit poll. I've done them before. You get a lot of, it's just too expensive. Not super helpful. But so you could do that. But what it would do is you could separate out all of the articles, the human services articles. But yeah, you would be missing the feedback. I'm not a fan of that either. That's been my biggest beef my whole career, but after seeing the changes in town meeting, it makes me wonder.
When I was in my stint,
Yeah,
I had no idea what they were voting on.
yeah.
Except Joe said this is what I should vote.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know in Randolph, they have like a town meeting on Saturday.
Yep.
And they go through all the articles, no voting. They just, anybody that wants to know, because it's on a Saturday and supposedly more people have Saturday off. So they go, they get informed. And then on Tuesday, they can go in and say, okay, yeah, well, I heard about this thing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and they get a little overview instead of just because,
It's like
we
a
don't-
budget informational.
yeah,
just like
and
we
even
do
at
that
the
no one
budget
comes to.
informational at a select board meeting, we don't get much. But if we have, not that I'm in favor of but
Yeah,
a gathering on a Saturday, and they can have pies and all that other fun stuff there. And then Tuesday you go in and vote. So you're
Mhm.
still having an informational meeting besides a select board meeting, so
Right.
to speak.
Yeah, it's something to think about. I mean, it'll be interesting to hear what sort of feedback they have or they've received or what happens over the next few months. It's just something that my point was just when they come in, those are things we could talk about. Obviously, that still lives Human Services Advisory Board. You just heard from Paul recently, and then the Bethel Fire Advisory Board, but we're going to be appointing a couple people to that board. They may be one to wait on to let them get traction with their new members. What I'm curious about too is asking all the committees how often they elect a chairperson. Some of them have had the same chair for a long time, but does that person just get reelected every year or are they just not voting? So, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think I've ever
Someone just
Paid
sits
close-
chair until they're like, all right.
passed away. I don't know. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Because here in the select board, we have to vote every year. So
Yeah.
my thoughts are, like what Therese was saying, if we have to vote on it here, then I believe each committee, whether they vote on the same person or not, doesn't matter, but they need to have a vote every year. So
Yeah.
somebody else who's thinking of it, but doesn't want to hurt somebody's feelers and say, I might want to be a chair of that
Yeah.
committee, but so-and-so has been doing it forever. So I don't want to make them,
Yeah, right. Exactly. It kind of gives
sensitive skin stuff, but yeah, it would be a good idea that, we vote once a year, that all the other committees vote once a year.
yeah. So those are just, that was one of the things that I talked to Rebecca Sanborn Stone about. She was the town meeting committee outreach. I don't know, whatever
Liaison.
that title is on that whole committee. But anywho, one of the things we talked about and that had come up, I think, too, was certainly at our last select board meeting prior to town meeting was more about getting input from other committees. Now, I certainly have a personal beef with that because I talk to committees like the chair of planning commission. We see what their agendas are. We read all their minutes. If they need anything, they certainly know where to find us and we get grants and whatnot. So, but this might be a nice way to kind of bring them in and kind of see what everybody's up to. And then if the select board has, as they are advisory, you can assign them tasks if you want to know something or get something done.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see somebody here because
Yeah.
we're not listening. Well, I haven't heard anything.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what we're not listening to.
Yeah.
And some people don't get down there. They won't be able to vote Australian ballot if they
Uh-huh.
can't get there.
No, they could get an absentee ballot.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's true. But they won't get the feedback. from the town meeting, but, you know, I think there's people out there that didn't, you know, I think we got 5 or absentee ballots.
Mhm. Because they really didn't, from towns that do their budget, they get bigger return. People knew also too, think about it, Australian ballot here, nobody was running opposed. Albie was alone, Brian was alone, Dana was alone, Pam was alone. So no one was running to break a tiebreaker, you know? Yeah, so I'm just saying because it was non-budgetary, you know.
I'm in favor of anything that gets more communication out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
You all want people to know what you're doing,
yeah.
but how do we get it out there?
Well, you know, part of it is that, you know, it's,
We don't all have access to the website.
Change the name of the school and you'll have 90% participation.
that's right. But the
I
other
know.
thing too is, you know, and it's because I started as a town clerk. And the part of it is you were lucky to be born here. It is your responsibility to register to vote and be an educated voter. You can call our office 24/7, leave a message. You can email us 24/7. You can look at our website 24/7. You can come in. 99.9% of what we do is public record. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
But we have a whole new generation.
Yes, who does this? So they should be well-versed better than any
They
of
can go on
us.
the website.
Yeah,
They can go on the website.
right. But even if they're
Don
not,
Brown isn't gonna go on the website.
no, but they could call. You know, and chat, obviously they know, it's not like we're meeting under the cloak of darkness. I mean, we talk about what we do and we publish town report and we did 500 last year. We cut it to 250. I have 2 cases left. I think I could do 100 and I'd probably still throw some out. So, and those are postcards that went to every single household. If you
Gee,
called, we
postcard.
would have mailed it to you. So at some point, people need to take responsibility.
Maybe the select board ought to write a letter to the editor and to the Herald and say, you know, we really would like to see you.
Yeah, you know, I don't know how much more we
I'm
can
not gonna
do.
author it because.
And they can also watch it on Orca. So I mean, if you want to relive it, you know, so it's like, I don't,
Yeah.
you know, some of the is not our fault.
No.
Some of the is somebody has to step up and say, I want to know what you're up to. And it's interesting too, because town meeting is funny. I remember having presidential elections and people saying, see you in 4 years. I'm like, really? Because I'm going to start taking money directly out of your wallet in March after town meeting. You sure you don't want to come? Like back in a couple months, we're going to talk about this. So I think people are so focused on federal and state, they're not thinking about the fact that, you know, we budget March and July. It's coming directly from you. So I do think there's a, you know, that I'm not sure. Maybe they need to start teaching civics in high school. I'm not really sure what the,
I don't think
But if
we-
a member of each advisory board comes in to touch base.
Yeah.
And let us know if they're needing something.
yeah,
Or want something from us.
yeah,
Or us to look into something.
yeah,
We can do that, but we can't read everyone's mind.
Right.
And
But I like your idea.
Here it
You
comes.
said every committee.
yeah, come in
Yeah,
one
that's
at a
what we
time.
were-
Yeah.
that's
And
what we were on the
yeah.
list.
Yeah, and the thing is too, is, you know, they know where to find you because we went for the energy committee, they got a charger, they came, they asked, they got. The skate park, the select board gave like $9,000 over, like out of the rec budget because they were in a tight spot, maybe during the first phase. You know, so it's like, and I said this to Eric Webb at the planning commission, I'm like, what is it you haven't got that you've asked for? And he and I have regular, you know, fairly regular communication. So I think there's a, you know,
Seems
I'm not,
misleading.
it does. So I'm not
Seems
really
real
quite sure
misleading.
where this big, you know, when people say, you know, that, or we need a 3-pronged plan to do something, then well, tell me what your ideas are. I know.
Yeah,
So,
well,
you know,
it's
it's,
just
people forget, we are not a social service agency.
That was a
We-
week ago that
we
we
do the-
needed ideas to go after. And there's nobody here and we have no ideas have been brought to us other than what we've tried to come up with.
Yeah,
And, you know, so.
yeah,
It's hard.
it is. It really is hard to do it, you
Come
know,
up with it, do it, and
and
then
get
be
criticized.
criticized about how we did
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah,
everyone's welcome to
Absolutely. We want input and
Come
things.
sit.
So I think this is a good, maybe we start this way and then maybe it becomes a regular rolling thing and people realize that, you're approachable and all those good
Hey,
things.
at the next meeting, can you bring in the numbers for the charger?
Yep. Yeah, I have to ask Pam. Yeah, because the money goes into her town clerk thing, so I don't see it. So charger money from Pam. Yep. So that's my ideas. If you have any more ideas or anything that you want committees specifically to just email me and let me know and I can, so
What's anybody think about trying to get a high school student to sit in with us up here?
Sure.
Yeah, we've talked about that several times,
Yeah.
about getting some high school students to come in.
From Argentina came in with his host.
Yeah.
And he was just amazed. They didn't have anything like that in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened up a whole.
Yeah. Could certainly, I can reach out to Jamie, the superintendent, and ask him, I assume you're looking for a high school senior, or junior.
That's what I would be
Yeah.
looking for,
Get them involved early.
because a senior might even be able
If
to
you
vote.
get one, you're lucky, but
Was it right to get? any-
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
then you don't want like a ton of kids sitting up here, so.
Oh, just.
No.
Well, no, she,
Just to
you
come-
missed it. She said, do you want just one or do you want more? And I'm like,
if you get
one.
you're
you
lucky.
get,
Yeah,
Yeah, a bunch
just,
of
I mean, I think obviously they have no voting power, but at
Right.
least come and attend the meetings and we'll, talk to them about it. So that's
Yeah.
fine. I can reach out to
Get-
Jamie.
and
Huh?
encourage them to be part of the discussions.
Yes, absolutely. I want to hear what they have to say. Sorry, I'll reach out to Jamie.
okay.
Good.
Was that it on the survey discussion?
Yep.
All right, and now it's time for the town manager's report.
All right. So as you can see, so Chuck Davis's term as health officer is going to expire. So he did say that about 80% of it has been taken away, which is nice. I approached Paul Valley. He'd been a deputy health officer before. He's like, nope, I'm going to pass. He did consider it, but so we're going to be looking for a new health officer. And the minute he steps down, it is automatically filled by Denise. So maybe one of you also, what we did before is Chris Jarvis was the health officer and Paul became a deputy to help out. But I do think a lot of it has changed. So you might want to reach out to Chuck Davis.
Yep.
Because it at least head that way temporarily to see, what are the duties that are left. And you have been so lucky. He has been a fantastic health officer. He's been great. He's had some real tough situations that he's managed before fire safety started taking over. So I think they do all the building inspections now, which was, he was up on ladders and going in crawl spaces and he was doing a great job. So something to think about. Still looking for a tree warden. I did email the county forester, but I haven't heard back from him. So if anybody has any ideas on who to be the town forest, the tree warden, we haven't had one in a while.
I heard someone say they were interested.
Oh, hey, well, think about it.
It wasn't me.
So there's an issue at the cemetery in Liliesville. So Cecil was in, he and AJ and I are going to go up and check it out. As Cecil made a great point, which is the cemetery's been there a long time, Therese. And what's happening is bigger trucks are just encroaching on it. I think they're trying to make that swing. So yeah, we're going to go up in the spring and see. Cecil doesn't seem to think there's anything on the opposite side of the road. So maybe we can put like a bigger shoulder on that side to try to encourage. Yeah, we talked about, bollards because he wants to update, he wants to replace the fencing, but when people are smashing it, hitting it, whatever, it's, maybe we can, so depending on it, put a, real, like seriously ditch it right there. If that maybe people would stay over, but also told him we may have to look at kind of what's the layout of the road up there. I think, how roads have slowly gotten wider. So we're going to go up in the spring and see what we can do. So if anybody has any good ideas or want to come along, just let me know.
I wouldn't mind tagging along.
Yeah, to see the,
I'll go.
okay, I'll make a note. AJ or no, Alvy, I already said AJ, Alvy, Denise. Yeah, so it'll be in the spring and we'll go up and take a peek, see what's what. I met with two companies on IT, so hopefully they both were good. I have a feeling one may be too rich for our blood, but we'll see. So anyways, it'd be someone to come in and help manage our IT, which would be great. So I'll let you know who I hire later. And I'm going to be off tomorrow and back for the rest of the week. So also too, I'm not sure, maybe Brian wants to look at this, but Gilead, we're actually going to start on Pinello. I think the end of April that they're going to finally start. And what they did is they submitted this traffic plan, which is super funny because, you know, it's what they have to do, but they're like super over engineered. It's like this thick, you know? So what they're going to do is they're going to make it one lane for a period of time around there. They're also going to drop, if they could drop the speed limit within the work zone by 10 miles an hour. I said, absolutely. And they're going to have, you know, flashing lights, but can you slide this down to Brian? You might want to take a peek at
Get
it.
some work done up on that.
I know. So they're hoping to, you know, get in there in April
One lane.
and, oh, which reminds me, Brian, I had to ask you a favor. We had to do, GMP moved a pole up there. And you can keep that copy if you want, but GMP moved the pole up there. And then I had to send a letter to everybody else that was on the pole to move to the new pole. Can you eyeball it and tell me who's left up there, if anybody?
I think it might be done because
I'm hoping so.
the EC fiber transferred like a week or two ago.
Okay, 'cause
They were
I
there, But I'll
have-
check.
What about, is Verizon in there? or-
I'll have to check.
No, not Verizon. It would have been either EC fiber. It wasn't,
Consolidated.
consolidated. It wasn't Comcast because they didn't go up that far, I think.
EC fiber and the consolidated are the only ones up there.
And you can't get anyone to call you back. The only one I can get someone from is GMP and they're, you know, like, oh, great, boom, done, we're moving, we're off. I mean, they're super, but I don't know who's left. And honestly, Brian, I wouldn't know how to know who was left. I know that the top one is electric. That's
Top
what I
two.
know. That's all don't touch those. The other ones, I don't know. So if you could tell me, that'd be great. And
Yeah.
so that's the traffic plan. AJ looked at it. We were good with it. You know, people, you know, just might have to give themselves an extra few minutes because the lights, but they are going to do the portable light. So I just want to make sure you knew about that. And that's everything.
Actually, it was Steve Parody's outfit there, do you know?
Uh-huh.
And I think, but he works for Consolidated, so they might have done Consolidated, not the cable, but I'll find out.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because
And I can get you a contact or,
yeah, because I could go up and look. Doesn't mean I don't know who's left. Isn't gonna help me out. But I've written to everybody and their mother and then Consolidated, I sent it to multiple locations. I got one back as undeliverable, but so somebody must have got it. So I don't
yeah,
know.
any more of those, let me know and I'll give them to Steve Parody, because he does all the
Yeah.
contract work. for-
Yeah, so they were, you know, I can't remember the
For
GMP guy,
Consolidated.
not Caleb Holly, it's. what's his name? I
There's a
forgot.
new guy down there.
Yeah, but he was great anyway, so they were bing bang. Maybe. Doesn't sound right. What's the guy's name? But they could have trained, but they were great anyway, so if you could tell me.
Yep.
Because I don't want ECI to get there and then like,
Can't do it, yeah.
you know, we need to get somebody off the pole, so I'd rather deal with it now. And there's a meeting.
Trains on the poles and get off.
Yeah, there's a meeting, exactly. There's a meeting tomorrow for the water project. I'm not going to be there, but Richard is, and Bob, the project manager they brought back, has got it well in hand. They've started, if you've noticed, they've tore down some of Geico, the well house. So down by the retired postmistress. Yeah, they were down there. Richard removed the tank. So Minash is supposed to be coming. They're supposed to finish up Crystal Drive. There's still some things to do there, things that the tanks are red. They're supposed to be gray. The Champlin needs to come back and do some electrical. The generator hasn't been delivered yet. So, you know, somebody needs to get a boot in the throat and be like, listen, get it done, because I've had it. And then we've got some issues with Sand Hill. And I already sent a picture that AJ took of water coming down the road. And I sent it to Alex, he's the engineer that did, I said, really? Did I just part with $800,000? Didn't I part with that to fix this? So I said to Richard, so I've already called them and I said, listen, I'm going to come unglued over this. I said, if those grades weren't accurate, then that is someone in your firms. I paid someone to do construction management. I wasn't out there shooting the grades. So whatever the issue is,
It's on them.
it's on them and I want it handled. And because there's like a lot of perforated pipe and stuff on one side, but the water's going the other way. And I talked to Jameson, he does the water. He and Jason Booth is one of the VPs or whatever. He's coming with them. So I said, you know what? Tomorrow would be a great day for you two to walk up there and see where the water's going. So I asked about that. I said, so when we have a meeting about that, be prepared because I want answers because I'm going to lose it. And I've already told Hebert that there was an issue. And I told Chris Jarvis or Pike, I said, I don't know who's at fault, but it isn't me. So somebody's going to deal with it. So they both are on that. We also having such slow process with the water project that when Jimmy came in the other day to pay us for his share of the Pike bill, I told him, I said, listen, you need to deal with Minash because if this continues, you will not be able to use me as a reference. I'm like, I realize they're your sub, but this project is tanking. We've already had to renew our construction permit. That's going to cost you another 150. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because if we wait too long, it's going to be $1,000. You choose. But so I said, you guys, you just need to get the hell out of Bethel. You need to get done and you need to get out of town. And so we've had a lot of delays. They've been on the news because they were helping Montpelier. Huh?
Been a lot of issues.
Yes.
Mhm.
And, so the engineers had also promised me from the get-go when we hired them, they were the low bidder. And they said, exactly where, don't worry about it. Trees will manage them. So once Richard told me, as soon as Jimmy left my office, he started calling because there was a meter and Richard was not happy because we had A&E had spec'd a meter. That was the meter that Richard was going to get. But then Minash had chosen a different meter and Richard was so frustrated. He's like, I'm going to take it, even though it's not exactly what I want because I don't know what the delay will be. So when Jimmy came in, I said, this is a perfect example. We are settling now for something that we don't want, but because we don't dare not to take it. And then he said, well, it hasn't even been ordered yet. I'm like, okie doke. I'm like,
Kind of like the wellhead.
what? I'm like, okay. So that's when I said, you know what, you need to get a handle on this because you will not be able to use me as a reference pretty soon. But I guess, and then he left and Richard said he was calling him and this one and that one, and they were doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, let's get it done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So we'll wrap up the water project, but you're right. There's been a lot of delays, but Sand Hill, that's going to get ugly.
Delays and issues. Delays,
Yeah.
issues, problems.
Yeah, and we're, now we're renewing our contract and, we didn't even do liquidated damages because we're just like, look, I just said, I will not write you another check. Don't look at me. This is what I'm willing to pay you. Other than that, whatever happens, don't look at me because no, I'm not paying you another dime. And he knows. So he was like, what, 150? I'm like, I'll talk to Jameson because I wasn't late. I'm not renewing the contract because I was late. So I'm like, no, I'm refused to
There's
give
some
you.
more work down here by the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
and they're going to have to come back, obviously Sand Hill stuff, but Sand Hill could possibly have some larger issues.
They got the tar.
So I don't know. So we'll see what's going to happen there, but somebody will be duking it out. But I've already told them, I'm like, listen, I'm going to come unglued if this is a
Was he
problem.
the one that also had something going on at Owens?
Yep. Mhm.
Yep.
Is
Yeah,
that
so
done?
No.
I think there's a little bit of finished work to come up because they went so late. And so, I don't know. So we'll see, but
That one wasn't all there.
no.
Some of that was a railroad being a pain in the ass.
Yep, that's very true. However, someone should have been on top of the fact that we didn't have the permit until the last minute. And then, all of a sudden then we had to find someone to come and babysit the tracks. There was a whole thing, but, so anyways, we pay good money for people to handle this stuff. So I was on the horn trying to get our railroad permit. I'm like, I couldn't figure that out. But, so anyway, so we'll see, but, and I'm not happy. The water project will finish, but I'm really unhappy about Sand Hill right now. So let's see what it does. And somebody talked about, oh, well, we could mill it. I'm like, oh, I may have to bring somebody with me because I'm gonna go.
I'll go.
Come unglued because I'm like,
Now we need 4 people to go.
yeah, no words. I'm like, I can't, for Sand Hill, I'm just like, what, mill it? You just laid new pavement. Well, we could have, no, I don't think so. I don't think I'm settling. It took me a while to get the congressional district spended, the paperwork that went with it, to find out that it's, no. Nope. So if you need to pull bail money because I'm in jail because I've made a public nuisance, I'll call. So we'll see what happens, but I'm worried about that turnout. So, but
Good way to
That's
use
it.
up your vacation time.
yeah, in jail. Although I don't know, it seems like you can do
Three hots
anything
and
and
a
get out
cot.
for a slap on the wrist. I'll probably be locked up for months. So I don't know. But yeah, so that's I don't know, that's the way things are going and we'll see how it turns out. But
All right,
that's it.
you're all good with that.
That's my big gripe.
All right. Okay, now we have the select board minutes from 2/24/25. What's your pleasure on that?
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything.
Move to approve as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Any other communications?
There's a bunch of stuff in there.
A bunch of them in here.
Yeah, fire advisory board, planning commission, yeah, yep, they were, Gary, we did 2 open houses. And he ended up getting, I think, 6 people that came over 2 meetings. And some people were great. Said, look, if you want to pick somebody else to be on the board, I'll still come to the meetings and give you information, which I thought was great. So they'll be appointing. They were going to go through it at their last meeting. And then I think Gary had chemo. So I think he'll be getting me a list of who they want to appoint for probably for your next meeting.
The chief and assistant chief.
Yep.
Have they voted on the others?
Yes. Yep. They stayed the same. Those are going to be, now those will be 2-year positions. That is Jason Rogers as captain and Josh Tracy, I think as lieutenant. Those, they are become a 2-year thing, but the Bethel Fire Advisory Board is also working on, with the chief and assistant chief, they're going to be doing evaluations. So those guys also had to come up with their certain criteria now in SOGs. So they had to submit everything they had to the Fire Advisory Board. And then the Fire Advisory Board said, we will waive this, or you will get this, and this is the time frame in which you need to achieve it. So, so now.
Any new education that they might need to fulfill the criteria.
Yep, absolutely. For example, Corey Richards is the assistant chief. He's in the middle. He's started taking firefighter 2. So there's other, so he started that. There's other trainings. And then there is an open seat as a lieutenant. But I really believe that what Gary said was accurate, which was, let's wait and see. There's been a lot of change in the fire department. Let's give it a year and see who rises to the top. I think it's nice for people to see that there's an opening and they can step up. So let's see who does. So in the meantime, I said, nah, we're going to leave it open. The financials are in here. I try to jot some little notes next to it if there's something that I think that you need to know. But if you have any questions, I'm happy. Yeah, there's one in water and there's one in the highway. It was, so there's 2 fines and they were the same amount. They each were like $3,000 a piece. But they could have done, could have been ugly. But the guy who actually did it, the inspection was terrific. Great, super helpful, very educational.
I'll do this again like that.
But yeah, he was really helpful, gave some good advice to Richard especially. And, so he was really good, I thought. And he met with the fire department at the time. Gary was undergoing chemo, so I said to him, look, I'd let you see the fire department, but this is a situation. And he was, no, that's fine. And then he came back and he met with Gary and Paul, and he didn't write them up for anything, gave him some pointers on what to do, but I thought he was really good. And then I had to meet with him again, with fines, and then I had to go to the state interim chief, and we did a Zoom meeting. And so, you know what, I think all in all, for $6,000, we probably made out all right. I
I
know.
still don't know why they visited, right?
No, I still think it's my fault, but I think it's because I was causing such a stir about the fire, 225 pages of those fire department regulations. That, isn't it funny that after I made a comment and called everybody and their mother, that the VOSHA guy shows up? Like, I'm like,
Here's your
but you
sign.
know what was funny? After all that work that I put into that and called everybody I knew and to get information, to draft the letter, I'm talking to that intern guy at the very end when to tell him what the fine was and zippity do. He's like, oh yeah. I don't think any of that's going to come into play. And I'm like, that was 225 pages of regulation that they've worked on for 17 years. And he said, yeah, when a new president comes in, they tend to wipe the slate clean and just throw that stuff out. And I'm like, do you know how many hours of my life I'm not getting back? And I'm like, and he goes, and I think that VOSHA, because of all the people like myself that were making the commotion, they actually were considering making a rule that somehow maybe it wouldn't affect volunteer firefighters. Because like, I think it's going to become null and void, because when the new president comes in, they'll just, I'm like, well, you said they've been working on it for 17 years. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and the president's just gonna, that's it? He's like, yeah, that's the way it usually works. I'm like, you should give me the $6,000 because I have already spent hours on this project.
And now we know.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I haven't heard another word. So maybe he was right. So I have no idea, or else it's going to come up in 4 years, in which case I'll have all my gripes already documented for you. So it's crazy. But yeah, any other questions on the financials? They're a little bit different. Alvi, Brian, you can see that, the budget's on the left. Actual is what we've spent to date. I tell you the percentage. It's usually the end of the month, and then the percentage left. So a lot of the things I'll look at is sometimes when you look at one line item, it'll be completely overspent. I'll try to write a note, but generally what I'm looking for is I go through these and I compare last month to this month. And if there's anything that jumps out, was something coded wrong? So I go back and look, was a diesel bill coded to gas? That's really noticeable, things like that. Try to look and see what the difference is. If say AJ comes to me and says, hey, we're going to have a real whatever, heavy gravel year or something. And then I'm like, okay, so how much are you going to go over? So okay, are we going to save that in salt? So, my strategy is a budget is not a suggestion. It is the budget. If I think a department is headed to be overspent, then I will start looking at other departments. Is there someone else that's going to be underspent that maybe that could offset it? So yes, we have an undesignated fund balance, but my expectation is if you're a department head, you're going to live within your means. And the water department is different, as is sewer. They're what's called enterprise funds. So they can actually make money. Obviously, the rest of us, we don't shoot for that. So, but yeah, so if there's anything that really jumps out, I try to make a note. Sometimes things are off, like health insurance or payroll, depending, quarterly, have we paid ahead something? So sometimes you'll see something is already spent or a portion heavily spent. Maybe it's just a billing cycle. But if you're going through them and you have any questions, feel free to email me or, bring it up at the meeting.
Drop by with free.
Drop by with free treats for Dietrich. But yeah, if you see anything, let me know, because it could be something that, that I missed or that the department, and also every department head gets a copy. So they know where they're at. The fire chief knows where his spending at, everybody. So it's, and they all participate in their budget. So, I'm a big believer in this is the budget. And I get it. Sometimes the wheels come off the bus, especially with highway, with weather that we can't control. We're going to overspend our overtime. I can see it already. It happens. We haven't overspent overtime in years, but it's going to happen this year, but we'll make it up somewhere else. You know, some tractor trailer took out a bunch of guardrails. So on Camp Brook that we got replaced in an insurance claim. So maybe we won't spend all the guardrail budget, but you know, we do look at those things because that's the bottom line. So, but if you have any questions, just let me know.
Do you have any plan on getting this school?
Not today. No.
She'll
Yeah,
fix it when
I've
you
ta-
fix the other
Yeah,
line.
I should say,
I-
no, I've talked to
I
AJ
can't
about it.
fix that. You need an excavator.
Yeah, no,
No.
I talked to AJ about it. He knows, and we have the parts. So he's aware of it. We tried to make an insurance claim, but VSP has no record of a call. So,
Of course not.
yeah, no, they've been usually are great, but not this
No,
time.
yeah, but I mean, the big truck backed into it at 3 o'clock in the morning, took off.
Yeah, no, but AJ had seen someone and had a plate and this and that, but it
Oh.
just, we couldn't, yeah, it was a thing. So anyway, so we are prepared to deal with it this summer.
Obviously, nothing's broken, but you're not gonna let that pole sit like that.
No, it's, you know, we'll deal with it.
What is it, ornamental pole?
Yeah. Those are pricey. They don't give those puppies away, I'll tell you. So we know it. And, you know, it's on the list.
Take the one off Gilead that we just got all those people off and bring it down.
Yeah. Exactly. Fix it. So, yeah, so, but I think we had to buy, maybe it was a light. I can't remember what we had to buy in there. but
Yeah, we've got. the
We got a
top.
box with
We've
big
got the
parts
top.
in it at the town office.
We've
So.
also got light out here that needs to be straightened up too.
Yep, I know. That's
But
part of,
that's gonna be part of the,
if we get it, that's part of the
we're gonna
grant.
try to just change the heads though, right?
Yep, that's what I put. I used your pricing and put it in the grant that way. So what I'm sitting on now is I have to write a paving grant. I'm getting an estimate. The paving this year is gonna be Camp Brook. And we were, every time you drove North Road, you're like North Road. Then you're like Camp Brook, it's Camp Brook. Finally, AJ said it has to be Camp Brook.
Gotta be camp.
So not going as far as people want, of course, but we're gonna have to do some serious pothole patching. But also too, if Royalton passed their bond, they were looking to spend 2.5 million to do North. I don't know what they're doing to it.
Have you been over there?
Gold.
I had to go over this weekend.
Yeah,
I had to go like 12 miles an hour.
Yeah.
it's
So
pretty bad. You
They're-
can't hit the
It's how
40 mile
much
an
is
hour.
ways.
I was up there
Welcome.
today.
It can't be much, it can't be a mile.
I don't know. They're doing a
It's that
section.
section where it's like through the four-way where it's like
You know, it
12
starts-
miles an
Oh,
hour.
yeah, and
Starts
it-
at the
and
four-way,
It's
angles the wrong
down to
way.
the roads.
Yeah,
Or almost to
nasty.
Larry Road.
2.5 million.
nobody knows how to write a grant there.
They got
It was supposed to be
$200,000.
1.1 and it got switched.
Yeah. And the thing
Bid
is,
came in high.
yeah. And the thing is too, is that
There's a lot going
we
on
get,
with
you
it.
get a $200,000 paving grant. So that's the grant money that they have. But I mean, we were, you know, we didn't, obviously, we, on Christian Hill, we did 0.89 miles, which is basically what I'm looking for, maybe a mile on Camp Brook. And, you know, we've replaced culverts that needed to go and we've tried to do some maintenance, but it may get us below Joe Russo's. And then I know there's some patching, but you know, I said to AJ, why don't we just, I have this idea. Why don't we just put a sign at the bottom of Camp Brook that says potholes next 6 miles? And he said,
Mhm.
Teresa, I got frost heaves around. I have a big sign that basically says go around. People call. I said, state does a great job. You should drive around. They keep it nice. You got, you know, but I don't know how, maybe Brian knows. I don't know how Bethel and Rochester got control over those. Were they ever state maintained? I mean, I know they were dirt at one point. I don't know how the towns
Years
ended
and
up with
years
those.
And years ago, the people that were in charge of this group, there was money from the state. That's great money. They never looked ahead to big, heavy trucks and paving. Because
Yeah.
I tell you what, the top of Rochester Mountain, back when, in the early 70s, you wouldn't be going over there in the springtime.
Yeah,
And you wouldn't have wanted to go over there in the wintertime.
You wouldn't want to meet a car in the summertime.
Nope.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a goat path. I mean,
Everybody
real
So
goat
did
path.
CPS
Did
sends them right
Bethel
over there.
always maintain it in Rochester? So, because I was under the impression that maybe it was one of those things that the state, you know, handed down or something, but
Yeah, maybe.
I don't.
Yeah, if I go to Middlebury,
I
I
don't
go around.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
did
good
that last
idea.
week.
Yeah.
Like, no thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I meant to twice the traffic on that as there is Route 12.
Every
Yeah.
GPS sends people up and over that hill.
We get also, it's box trucks.
I've taken the
with-
bike over it and just bottoms at wham, wham,
But
wham,
it's,
wham.
it's
I'm
box
like,
trucks
dude.
with all seasons. Like, I mean, we have a massive orange sign at the bottom that says low salt area. I don't know what they're seeing, but
You gotta do like Montana does. You got stuck up here, you don't have your chains on, that's a fine.
yeah.
I mean, nobody's gonna stop it. They can't get them to stop going over J.
Yeah.
See?
That's
I mean,
what-
and there's
we've
like
talked about that
light up
before.
boards
I
and they
know.
can't get them to stop.
They ought to have like a, maybe that's what we
Like,
need is like
hey.
an arm to
No.
go down. But,
Yeah.
the only other thing I could think of is, did any of you hear the governor's plan that municipalities ought to take over the homeless problem?
Oh,
And that they would be, I was like, come again? Someone from Two Rivers reached out to me and said, I wanted to ask before I gave your name to the local paper. And I said, I have an opinion, but nobody would like to see that in print. So no. And, but the governor's idea was basically because the housing program of the hotels was costing so much money, that his brief idea, which really surprised me, was to kick it to the municipalities so that have the homeless issue, and then they can, but they're going to kick it to you with some grant money. And I'm like, what is the difference? If the state, who can negotiate a better deal than the state of Vermont, So I don't know.
They
what
didn't
the-
negotiate the hotel thing, that's for sure.
So I don't know what's going to come of that. I can't imagine because,
I'm not sure that the state knows how to negotiate either, because as soon as they took over healthcare statewide,
but
just like that.
we talked about this. Municipalities once upon a time managed. Bethel had a farm. You had a service officer. You had someone who managed the port at at the very local level. And then the state took it over.
Because
So-
it's discriminatory.
But you can't kick it back to us now. And but how do you save money if you're giving it back with grant money? I'm like, we'd have to staff up. I mean, I don't even know how municipalities could handle in Burlington even. They'd have to make a new department.
In New Hampshire, if you
Rutland?
have an issue and you don't have the money, you go to your town office or your city
Yeah.
office and they take care of you there.
yeah, but I mean, it's
You
like,
just put out a memo.
Yeah.
If you need help, go see Pam.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Oh,
it's,
yeah. Or
you know-
if not, call Jordan.
yeah, so I don't know.
Back up.
I don't imagine that's going to get any traction, but when I
No.
heard about it, I was like, I just, I don't know. Maybe he was just frustrated, so he was just, I don't know, but I'm
He
like,
just handed
we
over,
can't do that.
we heard this morning, he handed over 176 pages of a new school financing plan
Mhm.
a week ago.
On
And
Wednesday.
They got another week to make a decision on it.
Yeah, well,
Haven't
that's
read it.
probably why Kirk said it was going to be, didn't think it'd be this year. So, I mean, it's such a hard, possibly convoluted topic that I can't, it's always, you're trying to make something equitable that maybe is inequitable. You know what I mean? it's so tricky. I think that's got to be a really hard topic. And they've had ways in Vermont that they've funded it before, then they stopped funding it. And then, so I don't know, not sure. Maybe they need to go back to the way they did it in the 70s or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. You
Yeah.
know better than I
Just go
would.
back to the 70s.
So
All
anyway,
right. Any
that's
other
it.
business
That's
to
my
come before the
gripes.
board?
Nada.
So what do we say?
7:04.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.